Hello there. Let me ask you something. What was the last game you played? And or what is the longest time you played a game? That may be an embarrassing question for some people, but was it 1 hour, 4, or 8? Now, in that amount of time, did you not improve your character? Did you level up? Did you get the gear? Did you get the epic loot? Maybe that takes a little bit more time, but the answer to that second question is more than likely yes. And how did that happen? It only happened because you just sat down and played the game for a lengthy period of time. And I hope the answer is yes, you improved. Otherwise, it's not a fun game. You would either get bored or frustrated. But when you played, did you switch to another game every 15 minutes? Did you check your phone every 10? And I guess in this day and age, probably yes. But let's pretend you didn't and you actually focus. Let's pretend this is before smartphones and you could binge World of Warcraft for hours on end. There's no mystery there. And the answer lies in the fact that the number one way to succeed in any endeavor is focus, your ability to focus on the task in hand. Now, and I say all that to say, if you can spend 8 hours playing WoW, but you tell me you can't focus and play an instrument, I don't want to hear it. And I guess these days focus is another thing because you're probably scrolling the Instagrams, the TikTokies. But anyway, let's forget the whole video game spiel because games are different and they're engineered to be highly addicting. But we're talking about guitar here, if you can't tell. So my credentials, which are tiny. My name is Adrian. I'm Adrian Unplugged. I'm a longtime guitarist, and I can at the very least just show up and practice often. That's a superpower, I guess. Now we're talking about focusing for playing or practicing guitar. As I said before, hobbies, especially if you're an adult or you're not a child with classes where you have to show up because your parents bring you. This is on you. There are ways to manufacture your surroundings, your scenario, whatever, so that you can focus better. And I have it in 3 little fields. I was going to just talk about like getting into the flow state, but I think it's more, there's more to it than that. We can add things in there to help your focus even further. So the first one out of 3 is what I call like vision focus. So I've talked about being motivated before, but let's narrow this down to the guitar, okay? I want you to ask yourself, what is your ideal life vision for the guitar? And I say life vision because, you can think of it 2 ways. A lot of people say, I want to reach XYZ goal, or, they go as far as like 10 years on the future, or all these milestones. My question is, what does your day-to-day life look like with the guitar? Because the goals we have are just stepping stone, like this continual amount of stepping stones in this life you want. I'm going to throw this out there. Let's say you want to be a pro musician, whatever, do this on YouTube. Don't you think that you are looking forward to you're really just looking forward to sitting down and being able to play the instrument every day, right? I think if someone was, I would hope, in that position, they would probably want to play the guitar every day. That's the base for all your goals. They just want to be able to play the guitar, right? So that's at the baseline. And also, you can ask, like, what events would you like to have happen? Like, do you want to play Christmas songs for your family or Christmas? Do you want to learn all these songs that you've had in your mind? Do you just want to have it in to relieve stress at the end of the day? Like, that's your thing. Do you want to be able to improv? I can't help you with that. Sorry. Think about being the old person who that's your thing. You can just go into your room, pick up your guitar, and play all the songs you've memorized over the years, or you could pick up on songs very quickly. And I say that, and it's kind of a note to myself, because I feel like with the guitar, since it is at a hobby level for a lot of people, it's easy to get discouraged and just kind of quit. If this is something that you can see in your life, then you take all the stress out of any goal you have, and you just say, this is what I wanted. I'm just going to pick it up and play today because I just like doing it. I know this is a letter to myself, because for the longest time, me playing was just, I like to play, and that was the end of it. And we can stress ourselves out with, I want to learn this song, or, I want to release XYZ. So yeah, it just gives you a break, because that vision, a 10-year goal, hopefully, I don't know how old my audience is, but for most of us, 10 years is going to come and go, or your goal is going to come and go. And once you hit it, it's like, then what? Keep it in there as part of your life. And then that will kind of ease you into saying, okay, I'm going to show up every day because I like doing it. All right. Number 2 is, I don't know how else to name these. So I have one called macro focus. And that is a fancy way of saying that I want you to think in terms of what song you're going to learn next. So 2 things. One, I am a huge fan of having the song first and then having all the techniques second. I've had days where I wake up and warm up and do all these drills and then play this next song I'm working on. And I've had days where I just go now, actually over the last year with classical, I really just go into the song and I will just play it slower and work on parts. And then if there's a drill I need, maybe I then look it up. I actually haven't done it with classical, but when I was playing a lot of electric guitar, that's what I would do. I had like generic warm-ups, but these days it's really just picking it up slowly. Yeah, I'm a fan of the song first approach, and then any drills will, if you want to do them, will come second. Because with going for the song, you're more excited to learn a song because you have a emotional connection to the song than saying, I'm going to work on, I don't know, a lot of the techniques, tremolo today. And you're like, well, why? I don't know. I need to work on tremolo today. It's like, okay, where are you going? All right. So that's the first thing, song first, life. And now the second thing, when we're talking about focus, you are picking the song and you need to stick with that until you have the song down. That means different things for different people. Most of the time it means I can play the song at full speed without any mistakes. Boom. Or you may have to perform it for somebody, or your friend, your friends, your family at a recital, or record a YouTube video, whatever. So, stick with the song. And then my second point is that with picking this song, you are doing that because when you go to practice, you have a goal in mind. You are going to practice guitar for this song. You don't just say, I'm going to practice guitar, or I have this kind of song in mind, or I have 5 songs I would want to do. When you go to sit and practice, you are working on that song. You are not messing around with other songs that you already know and are good at. I'm talking to myself. You focus on that song. You shouldn't be super overwhelmed and trying to aim for multiple songs at once. And I have another video on like picking your songs, or at least showing yourself that you have this wide range that you could choose from. Because if you're like me, nerd, hello, Mario Kart t-shirt, for the people listening, you have a lot of games and consoles and genres and franchises that you could cover. Out of all those, you just have to sit and slow yourself down and aim for one at a time. Because if you have like, well, I've arranged 3 and I'm kind of learning 2, like, no. You listen to 1, you arrange 1, you learn it, you record it. All right. Don't hop around. And I haven't been super consistent with my upload schedule, because what schedule is there? I have other things I have to do in life. But even if things slow down, okay, this song is kind of hard, but I am working towards finishing it. I'm not jumping around, arranging multiple songs at once, learning multiple songs at once. Don't do that. I think the longest I've gone is maybe a month at a time. Yeah, about a month, which is fine. I will say, if you have more free time than I do, go aim for a week. Aim if you can learn a new song every 2 weeks. If you do this properly, that's 25 songs in a year. That's a lot. Okay. There are other people in the YouTube world out there. They're probably not watching this. They don't need this, but they're knocking out couple songs a week. That's a lot. All right. And you don't get that by jumping in and out of different songs. All right. All right. So that's vision focus. Should be part of your life. That's like the baseline. Next level in this pyramid is macro focus. Pick your song, stick with it till it's done. And now we have the meat and potatoes of it, yum, which is micro focus. All right. So you're showing up daily. You have your song you're going to do. Now we need to do the mechanics of like what everyone says as far as flow state and productivity. So as I've said before, I would give yourself an hour if you have the time. Worst case scenario, like 20 minutes. And you're only going to focus on that one song. And if you have to break the song up into different parts, do it. And what I have been traditionally bad about myself, I do this with other things, but write a to-do list for what you're going to work on today. You could barrel through the entire song, but if you're doing things wisely and taking apart the pieces of it, you could even say, all right, I'm going to work on every 4 measures. That kind of makes sense. Measures, maybe transitions, and write that down. Write down the speed you're going to work on. So that way you don't just go in like, I have to practice song. It's like, okay, well, what part of it? And so now you have in mind what you want to do. You're kind of visualizing what's going to happen. You maybe like noodle out, shake the sillies out, visualize yourself doing well. You may say that sounds silly, but I mean, you're sitting still to play an instrument for an hour. So how can visualizing doing well be sillier than putting yourself through a little bit of pain, self-inflicted? All right. And elite athletes do that. Okay. And you'll at least have this kind of positive enforcement happening, which it seems kind of weird, but it's like, just bear with me. Like, if you have a negative attitude going into the practice session, what do you think is going to happen? You're going to have a bad practice session. If you kind of fake it till you make it and say, all right, I'm doing good, I'm getting these, I'm going to relax. Whatever you want to tell yourself, just do it. Now, as far as actually practicing, again, check out Nathan Mills from Beyond the Guitar, but he said this before. Go slowly as you need. Don't make any mistakes. build up with a metronome, repeat sections as many times as you can to get it down. And I have my own little step here I've been using for I don't know how long, but I got this idea from actually a game development coach, Chris DeLeon, and he also comes into this. I just said game development coach. People getting into it are usually doing it for a while without any compensation, right? It could be music, it could be anything in the arts, it could be anything that's a side project for you. We have a hard time getting ourselves to do something. So I'm going to write this. The purpose of this whiteboard is remember I said you have a to-do list. You are going to write down what you are going to work on next. The next one thing that you're going to work on. And you say it in the present past tense, like, can you say this? I made this video. Pardon the handwriting. So what are you talking about? Why do that? I will tell you. So when you do this, you're doing a couple things. One, you are narrowing your focus more because you're giving yourself one thing to do. Let's say I wrote 3 things over the course of like 20 minutes. And then I'm going to say, I practice measures 1 through 4 at this BPM. Okay? When you write something like that in that tense, and it hasn't happened yet, there are 2 things that are happening. One, it's one thing, so it's simpler. And you have a lower chance of getting distracted because if you were to look up at that desk and that thing that you wrote, you would say, oh, that's the thing I need to be doing. Second, it is in the past tense because currently it's a lie. And you don't, pardon the nose, but subconsciously you don't want to write a lie down to yourself and have it be false. It's kind of weird, right? So, and another note on this thing, you want to make sure it is something small enough. Don't say, I sat and practiced for 1 hour. I mean, you could, but you'd be staring at that thing for 1 hour, and you'd also be sitting for 1 hour, but I say move more. That's just me. And that's also about as long as I can spare before I start falling asleep playing guitar. But, it helps with focus. And if you say that's silly, again, you have showed up to practice something of your own accord. You have written a to-do list, and now I'm just asking you to write a single item to-do list. How none of that is silly in the grand scheme. And the other thing is, if you haven't tried it, you don't know if it works or not. And if you're actually watching this video, aside from just supporting me, thank you, but you're trying to get something out of this, if you haven't tried that yet, or if you are struggling with your focus when you practice, then maybe what you've been trying has not been working. I hate to bring that up, but that's actually part of Chris DeLeon's audio. So that's a short of it. Go ahead and check him out. I guess I'll link him in the description. I don't really do that often, but I got to give credit where credit is due. He has an audiobook for it, so you don't have to sit and read. You can walk around and listen. And I got this, I don't know how much the pins were, but it's like nothing. I got this one for $9 on Amazon. So just try it. I will say I use this for other parts of the day. I haven't been using this for myself, but I should for guitar because it really keeps you on track. If you have this huge song, a big song that may seem daunting, it's just bits of, just parts or, chunks of measures. If you split it up enough, it will allow you to okay, I'm going to go through this 10 times, this 4 measures, and really drill it down. And you start to get that muscle memory that builds into learning the entire song. The last thing I want to rant about is, so we have our 3 little levels. We have vision, focus, have it be part of your life, macro, choose the song, stick with it, micro, make your to-do list, and get to work. What I want to talk about is what your practice session needs to be sacred. I have another rant I'm going to side tangent into, but everyone talks about like child prodigies or talks about like talent. I really don't like those phrases. If you see anyone that's like, it can mess with your head because you have someone that's half your age or 1/4 your age, depending on how old you are. And they're like, oh, they're so good. They're good. they are good because they probably had a class for 1 or 2 days out of the week. They were told by their parents to practice a certain amount of minutes or hours per day. It's just the reps, people. Okay. And same with talent. Like, I'm sure, I don't know specifically, but I'm sure people have called me talented. I've been practicing. All right. I've been playing guitar for a while, and no one comes out the womb knowing how to play an instrument. Let's say you have a 7-year-old. Oh my goodness, they're so good. They've probably been practicing for 3 years straight. Or 2, I don't know, start at 5. Consistent effort for 2 years. That is going to yield something. So your practice time needs to just be consistent days of consistent focus. So I say all that to say this. When you are having your practice block, let's pretend it's an hour. I want you to treat this as meditation. And what I mean is that you need to cut out electronics completely, as much as you can, unless you have a life or death notification, like texts and the actual phone app should be enough. So yes, that means even if you're doing like Pomodoro and you have like your 1 hour and you do 20 minutes, I know you're probably thinking, all right, well, 20 minutes and then I get to break, which means I get to scroll. Don't do that. Okay. Information that comes across your eyeballs is not passive. There's never been a time where where humans have been able to open this small device, access, let's think about either Instagram or like the YouTube recommended page on desktop. You can see like 20 things at once, all unrelated. A couple could be videos actually playing on like Instagram. That's not relaxing. Okay. When you're playing your guitar, you are trying to learn something new. And then when you take a break, in your little break or for the day, your subconscious mind is trying to, nail the information down. It's like downloading it, or whatever terms you want to call it. Like there's some book and it's like a mouse running a maze. And then when it sleeps, it's running the maze in its sleep because their subconscious mind is trying to get it down. You would not, I would hope not, study for school and your break be studying for another subject. That's a mild example because at least it's slower. But all this information pouring in, you need to tone that back if you're going to recover for this new thing, this new song you're trying to learn, and recover for the next practice block. So when you break, you need to actually break. Honestly, the best thing you could do is like figure out how to meditate for 5 minutes at a time. 20 minutes of practice, 5 minutes of calming your mind, and then get back at it. Right? Just pretend it's lifting in the gym. You wouldn't deadlift 85% for 3 and go run a mile and then, or I don't know, sprint for 30 seconds nonstop and then come back and try again. You need to recover. All right. So train your focus by giving your brain breaks for this new endeavor you're trying to get. Okay. I've been scrolling the guitar Reddits, and I keep seeing people that are doubting themselves, like with the learning subreddits, and they're like, what steps do I take? What's the best way to practice? I want to make sure I'm doing the exact things right. I want to learn everything all at once yesterday. And I understand we have a lot of information now, which is great, but then that's information overload. Now, I'm not talking about like scrolling your phone anymore. I'm talking about like there's so much advice out there. I want you to think about the OG guitarists that you look up to from like the 70s and the 80s. They probably had a teacher. I mean, maybe. Or you know, whether or not they had a teacher or they're self-taught, they still had to come home and put the reps in. There's no secret to this. It's just the uncomfortable, simple truth is that you just have to keep showing up for an hour every day until you nail the song. That's all there is to it. Okay. Now, all these things help, like having all right, I need to know that this is going to be part of my life. So that means I just need to show up. I need to hone in on the song. All these little like metronome tricks and writing stuff down. But it just comes to work. Even if you didn't do anything else, if you just said, I'm just going to sit down for an hour straight and try this song, metronome or speed or not, it may be sloppy and you should slow it down, but you'll get it. Okay. I promise you. All right. And if you have all the free time in the world right now, right? If you're a strapping young lad in college and you just did this, you'd be a monster at the guitar, classical or electric, whatever you want to call it. Just show up, have the songs, because most people know the songs, and just show up and practice most of the time. Okay. That is it. I'm done ranting. I hope those tips can help. Thanks for watching. Subscribe and all that. And I'll see you in the next video. And I made this video before I practiced today. I know. I'm sorry. But if I didn't do it now, I'd be too tired at the end of practicing to do it. And it takes forever to render these because my computer, but whatevs. Subscribe. Bye.